Have you ever left a conversation feeling confused? Like you've walked into an emotional fog? You find yourself agreeing to things you never wanted to, apologizing for things you're sure you didn't do, or feeling this strange, sinking guilt you just can't shake? This feeling isn't an accident. It's a design. It's a subtle psychological game that's being played on you, and often without your conscious consent. The most dangerous manipulations aren't the obvious aggressive ones. They're the quiet ones, the ones that disguise themselves as love, concern, or just the way things are. And in our hyper-connected world, where manipulation can happen via text, DMs, and carefully curated social media, these techniques are more invisible and more effective than ever. The only way to win is to know the rules. This video isn't to make you paranoid. It's to make you prepared. We're not just going to name the 5 most common manipulation techniques, we're going to dissect them. We'll explore the deep psychology of why they work, tell the relatable stories of how they appear in real life, and build a complete toolkit of red flags to spot and exact phrases to use to disarm them. This is your masterclass in psychological self-defense, and it starts now. 1. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is a slow-burn psychological attack designed to make you question your own sanity. The manipulator's goal is to become the author of your reality, so you become completely dependent on their version of events. Let's imagine Sarah and Tom. After a night out with friends, Sarah brings up that Tom made a hurtful comment about her family. Tom's first response is, "I never said that. I would never say that. You're misremembering." Sarah insists. Tom escalates. "You know, you've been really sensitive lately. You're always overreacting. It was just a joke, and you're turning it into this huge drama. Honestly, I'm getting worried about you." Notice what happened? The conversation is no longer about Tom's comment. It's now about Sarah's sanity. That is the core of gaslighting. It reframes the argument from "what you did" to "what's wrong with me?" The manipulator will deny facts, lie, and insist your memory is wrong. It's a trap designed to make you feel unstable and dependent on their version of reality. The term gaslighting comes from a 1944 film called Gaslight. In the story, a husband systematically dims the gaslights in their home, but when his wife notices, he insists it's all in her head, that she's imagining it, until she begins to believe she is truly going insane. It works by exploiting cognitive dissonance, that deeply uncomfortable feeling when your perception clashes with a trusted source's reality. To resolve the conflict, it feels easier to doubt yourself. So, what are the red flags for gaslighting? First, the manipulator flatly denies saying or doing things you know happened. Second, they use phrases like, "You're too sensitive," "You're crazy," "You're overreacting," or "It was just a joke." They tell you that your friends and family agree with them, that you're unstable. Third, you find yourself constantly apologizing, even when you don't know what you did wrong. You cannot win this argument by arguing the fact. You must argue the behavior. First, you must create an anchor. Trust your gut. Write things down. Send yourself an email, or tell a neutral third party. If you know something happened, hold on to that fact. Create an external record of your reality that you can refer to when you start to doubt yourself. This is your anchor. Their goal is to make you doubt yourself. Your defense is to refuse. Second, the gray rock method. A gaslighter feeds on your emotional reaction. Your anger, your tears, your defense, it's all food for them. The gray rock method is to become as boring as a gray rock. No reaction. Third, you cannot win this argument. The only way to win is not to play. The goal is to disengage from the argument, not to get the other person to agree with you. You can say, "I know what I saw/heard. I'm not going to argue about what happened. I'm telling you how I feel about it." Use this to end the conversation while holding firm to your perspective. 2. Foot in the door. This next technique starts small and is a favorite in sales and by colleagues. It's called the foot in the door technique. It starts with a tiny, almost laughably small request, one that's impossible to say no to, in order to get you to agree to a much larger one later. Let's meet Jen and Dave. Dave, a coworker, asks Jen, "Hey, you're a genius at this. Could you just look at this one PowerPoint slide for me? Just a quick 30-second glance?" Jen, being helpful, says, "Sure." A week later, Dave tells Jen, "You were so helpful last time. Could you just look at this formula in my spreadsheet? I can't get it to work." Again, a small 5-minute task. She says yes. The next week, Dave says, "Jen, I'm so swamped. You've been so involved, you basically know this project better than I do. Could you just finish the rest of the report for me? It's due Friday." Jen is now trapped. She's been conditioned to say yes to Dave. Saying no now would make her feel like a bad or inconsistent person. This works by exploiting the human desire for self-consistency. A famous 1960s study by researchers Friedman and Fraser demonstrated this perfectly. The researchers split respondents into 2 groups. In Group 1, researchers went door to door asking homeowners to place a massive, unattractive, "Drive carefully" sign on their front lawn. Only 17% agreed. In Group 2, researchers first asked a different set of homeowners to display a tiny 3-inch sticker in their window supporting safe driving. Nearly everyone said yes. 2 weeks later, the researchers returned to Group 2 and made the same request as Group 1, to install the large, ugly sign. This time, a staggering 76% agreed. By agreeing to the tiny sticker, Group 2 had mentally relabeled themselves as people who support safe driving. To act consistently with that identity, they agreed to the huge request. This wasn't a fluke. The study has been replicated dozens of times. The consistency principle is hardwired into humans. How do you spot foot in the door? First, watch for requests that start with just 5 minutes, just one look. Second, escalating favors. A clear pattern of small, easy favors that steadily grow in their cost, time, or commitment. Third, they give you unsolicited compliments right before asking for something. Fourth, you feel a strange sense of guilt or obligation that seems far stronger than the small favor warrants. First, buffer phrase. They want a yes immediately. Don't give it to them. Your new best friend is the phrase, "Let me check my schedule and get back to you." This short-circuits the consistency trap and gives you time to think. Second, the yes but boundary. If you want to help but not be exploited, set a hard boundary. Say, "Yes, I can look at it, but I only have 10 minutes." Or, "Yes, I can show you how you can fix the formula, but I can't do it for you." Third, the clean no. "I appreciate you asking, but I don't have the capacity to take that on right now." No apology, no long excuse, just a polite, firm no. 3. Lovebombing. Lovebombing is an overwhelming shower of affection to gain control. It feels amazing, almost intoxicating, at first. It is a soulmate whirlwind that seems too good to be true. The manipulator uses grandiose statements like, "I've never met anyone like you," or "You're the only one who understands me." This isn't genuine emotion. It's a strategy to make you feel uniquely adored and indebted, forging a rapid, intense bond that can later be exploited. The illusion shatters the moment that you pull away, disagree, or assert independence. Suddenly, the intense affection is withdrawn. This emotional reversal leaves you confused and desperate to regain the high of the initial adoration, making you more easy to control. This manipulation often escalates to isolation. For example, you mention seeing a friend for coffee, and your partner suddenly goes cold. Their texts become distant, or they stop replying altogether. They might eventually guilt trip you, saying, "I just thought we were closer than that." But it's fine. The warmth and affection only return once you cancel your plans, reinforcing a toxic lesson. Compliance is rewarded, while your independence is punished. The underlying message is, why do you need friends? Don't you have me? This dynamic isn't love. It's a hostile takeover. It's a shock and awe campaign designed to create a fast-track dependency by getting you high on validation. This process exploits your brain's dopamine system, making the cycle of intense affection and cold withdrawal feel like an addiction. This pattern is often the first stage in a narcissistic abuse cycle. Lovebombing has some clear warning signs. First, there's the future faking. Be wary of too much too soon. For instance, they start telling you how they can't wait to marry you, even though they just met you 2 weeks ago. Second, extreme mirroring. They like the exact same things you like and dislike what you dislike. Third, they try to isolate you and make sure you give them all your attention. They want you to prioritize them above every other person and thing in your life, and can get upset if you don't. It's like the minute you meet them, your focus must shift to them. How can you defend yourself from lovebombing? When you notice someone is lovebombing you, overwhelming you with excessive affection, attention, and promises for the future very early on, the correct response is to set a firm boundary to slow the pace. That is your best shield. Real connection builds over time. This boundary should be non-negotiable. Use clear, calm language like, I'm really enjoying getting to know you, but I'm a one-step-at-a-time person, so I need us to slow down. This boundary is a powerful test. The person's reaction will tell you everything you need to know about their true intentions. A healthy, respectful person will hear your need for space and honor it. They will respect your boundary, even if they are enthusiastic. A manipulator, on the other hand, will get frustrated, defensive, or try to make you feel guilty for setting the boundary. That frustration is your answer. It reveals they were never interested in a genuine connection with you. 4. Guilt tripping. This is a classic. Guilt tripping is when someone uses your own conscience as a weapon against you. They make their happiness your responsibility. By making you feel bad or selfish, they push you into doing what they want. Let's see a typical example of guilt tripping in its raw form. Sarah got a dream job in another city. She tells her mother excitedly, and her mother says, No, you should go. It's fine. I guess I'll just be here, all alone, again. But don't worry about me. I'll be fine. The fun is instantly sucked from Sarah's achievement and replaced with guilt. This works because of a covert contract. A covert contract is an unspoken expectation. They never told you the deal, but they're furious you're not upholding your end of it. The manipulator has an unspoken contract in their head. Because I am your mother, you owe me your proximity. When you unknowingly violate this secret contract, they use guilt as the punishment. It's a way to control you without ever having to make a direct, reasonable request. It exploits your empathy. Here's how to tell when you're being guilt-tripped. First, the martyr performance. The manipulator uses heavy sighs and a pained demeanor to publicly display their suffering, forcing you to feel responsible for their unhappiness. Second, the scorecard. They keep a detailed mental list of every past favor, treating them as debts to be cashed in. This makes you feel perpetually obligated. Third, loyalty tests. They use direct emotional traps like, if you really cared about me, you would stay. This frames their desire as a test of your character. The goal is to make you feel so guilty that you never assert your own needs. This is how you defend yourself. Use the validate and separate model. First, validate. Mom, I hear that you're sad about this, and I understand. Your feelings are valid. This diffuses the emotion. Second, separate. And this job is a huge opportunity for me, and I'm really excited about it. You can be a kind person without being a hostage to someone else's emotions. Acknowledge that emotion without adopting it as your fault. 5. Moving the goalpost. Moving the goalposts is how manipulators make you feel like you're never good enough. It is a no-win scenario designed to keep you in a constant state of striving and feeling inadequate. At its core, it means the criteria for success are suddenly changed right after you've met them, ensuring you can never actually win. Let's use Tom as an example. Tom is up for a promotion. His boss says, the goal is to hit $1 million in sales. Tom works weekends, grinds, and hits $1.1 million. He's ecstatic. He goes into the review meeting. Then the boss says, well, Tom, you hit the number, but your internal paperwork was late, twice. And I've heard from marketing that your collaborative energy isn't where it needs to be. So, you're just not showing the leadership we're looking for. Let's reevaluate in 6 months. Tom leaves, defeated. The goal wasn't a number. The goal was a feeling. And that feeling just changed. This is about power. It's a no-win scenario. By never letting you win, they never have to reward you with a promotion, approval, or respect. It keeps you in a state of perpetual striving and subordination. You'll work even harder for the next 6 months to win their impossible-to-get approval. The pattern looks like this. First, praise is always followed by a but. Your achievement is acknowledged for a brief moment, only to be immediately dismissed with a new, previously unmentioned condition. The initial praise only serves to set up the new, higher goalpost. Second, vague, subjective feedback. The new criteria are often impossible to measure. You'll be given feedback that is purely subjective, making it impossible for you to definitively succeed. Watch for words like, it just doesn't have the right vibe. I'm not getting the energy I wanted from it. Or, it just doesn't feel right. This tactic is not about quality control. It's about control. By using unachievable or subjective standards, the manipulator ensures you are always one step behind, seeking their approval. How to counter moving goalposts. First, create a paper trail. Get the goalposts in writing before the game starts. This creates an objective standard that cannot be easily changed. Second, develop an internal scorecard. Stop playing their game. The manipulator may not have given you the win, but you know you won. You must learn to validate yourself. Be your own judge of success based on the original, objective goals. Third, question the pattern. Often, just pointing out the moving goalpost is enough to make the manipulator stop. Say, when I did X, you said Y. Now that I've done Y, you're saying I need to do Z. That doesn't feel fair. This forces them to either define the indefinable or acknowledge the shift. One uncomfortable truth. We've all probably used some of these techniques without realizing it. Maybe you've guilt-tripped a friend into staying longer at a party, or love-bombed someone you were desperate to impress. Recognizing these patterns isn't just about defense. It's about making sure we're not the ones doing harm. As you've been listening, you've probably been thinking of a person, a time, or a place. But I want to end with the most important insight of all. A question I'm sure you're asking. Why do these work so well on me? The answer is because they don't target your weaknesses. They target your virtues. Guilt-tripping targets your empathy. Foot in the door targets your helpfulness. Love-bombing targets your capacity to love. Gaslighting targets your trust. Moving the goalposts targets your work ethic. All these techniques have one thing in common. They thrive in the dark. They rely on you not knowing the game. You are not stupid for falling for this. You are kind, trusting, and hardworking. And manipulators use these good qualities against you. This video wasn't to make you cynical. It was to make you wise. It's to give your good heart a psychological shield. Now you can see the game. You can name the plays. You've turned their power off. And you have the tools to walk away, undefeated. My question for you. Which manipulation technique have you experienced, and what was the first red flag you wish you'd seen? Share in the comments. Let's build a collective radar together. For more psychology you can actually use in your life, hit subscribe. There's more coming. Thanks for watching.